back to the Global Falcons Podcast. I'm Andrew L.G. Hunter.
And I'm Angela Hunter.
And we are here with Graham Robertson, commercial guru. Tell us about yourself, Graham. Tell us who you are and a little bit about your business.
Okay, well, I'm Graham Robertson. I'm a commercial real estate agent. I've been in the commercial game for coming on a decade now.
Nice.
I had quite a past in industrial construction in oversight. I had originally gotten into the trades years ago and worked my way up into management and then oversight, and had spent a lot of time on the road working away as industrial construction is. And I thought, I want to do something that is, like with the oversight, it was, large projects, big dollar, important stuff. And I liked that. That appealed to me. And I was always into real estate and investing, and wanted to do something that I could be at home every night. And I had a friend who was involved in the business and said, hey, what do you think about commercial real estate? And I checked it out and got into it, and I really liked it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. What's your business called?
I'm with the Realty Consultants Group, and we have now a commercial division, which is a separate entity underneath the umbrella, which is majority owned by me. It's an Indigenous-owned business, and we set it up for that purpose. And I have one commercial agent now, and we're currently recruiting some more and hope to grow that team. So
nice. And you guys opened another location too, right?
No, we just have the one location.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But the residential side, which my partner Slade has, he has been at it for just over a year now, and I think he's on his 10th agent now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're really growing, and we have a completely different business concept when it comes to brokerage and how what we're doing, our goals, our visions, our mission statements, things like that when it comes to working with people. So it's pretty exciting. Yeah.
What was the first deal you ever had
in commercial real estate?
Yeah.
The very, very first deal, actually. It was with a First Nations girl who had gotten a consulting contract with something, and it was a small little office deal, second floor on 8th Street, across from like the Burger King, and it was just like a nothing deal.
Yeah.
It was very, very, very small, but it was fun. I liked it, and that's an entrepreneur starting out. It's like, hey, can you help me? And you help them. I always say, like, that's where the juice is, and that's what I love to do. And like a lot of times, necessarily that deal isn't a big money maker, but it's when you're helping someone and I'm investing them, and I see, hey, this person's going to make it. And a lot of times they're like, well, we're small and we're just starting out. I'm like, yeah, but you're going to be big. And when you are, I'm going to be there, and you're going to tell all your friends. So, I always say, I try to see the quarter behind the nickel, and I don't care if it's a small deal. Like I have a skill set, and I want to help people and mankind and the economy and people's livelihoods and their prosperity with what I do. So it's a really good feeling when you see someone and their business is getting rolling, and I kind of like to steal a little part of that and say, I did that, and that's that's where the juice is, because if you're only doing it for the money, like,
yeah,
after a while, there's nothing to it, So
well, yeah. Once you get enough money to be comfortable, you need something that makes you happy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
I feel that. What was the biggest challenge of being an entrepreneur?
Oh, the biggest challenge of being an entrepreneur. I find, it's capitalizing your venture is definitely a challenge. I don't think anyone has ever started out creating a new business and 3 years down the road been like, wow, we were overcapitalized. Sure. I'm glad we had all that extra money that we didn't even touch, right?
Yeah.
We met one guy like that at Remy, but his family already started out with money, and
Yeah.
so he did like 100 phone calls or something when he started his nonprofit or something.
Yeah.
And then he got a bunch of funds, and he was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, then we're off rolling." I was like, "Yeah, you're like a one-off."
Yeah.
You know, but the thing is like that's also, you know, maybe it's not supposed to be that way, because the challenge is like, is it a challenge or is it a learning experience that's a little uncomfortable?
Mhm.
You know, so I try to always keep that in mind, because there's days where it's less enjoyable, you know, than other days. You know, I say, like, sometimes I find it wildly uncomfortable, but that means that there's a lesson. There's something happening there that's teaching you something, or you're in the process of learning something. So days when I feel quote unquote challenged, I remind myself, I'm like, this is exactly what I asked for, right? You know, if you ask the creator for patience, he's going to bring you issues that teach you patience. He's not going to bring you patience, right? So when you want success, the creator's going to bring you things that make you work to get that success, right? It's not just given to you. So you have to grow and develop personally to get those things you want. So days when it hurts and days when you're like, I don't know how much more I got. That's when I tell myself, this is exactly what I asked for, and that's how I know what's happening. So yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I always say there's it's the bad times that make the good times so great. You know.
Yeah.
That's very good answers. But it's going extremely well. You have really good answers, and I hope this is very inspirational for people out there. Do you want to ask one of these? I don't want to be the.
I don't know where you're at.
Over here.
Okay. What is one piece of advice you would give to someone just starting out?
Stay off my turf.
Yeah. No, it would be don't listen to the voices. And when someone says you shouldn't or be careful or something like that, that's just them saying, if I was you, I'd be scared. I think that, you know, sometimes friends and family kill a lot of dreams, and it's because they want to protect you. So when someone says, oh, be careful, or, oh no, you shouldn't do that, or people don't get successful, or that's really hard, I think that's maybe their misguided way of saying, you know, I'm worried about you, and it's okay for people to worry about us, but you know, everything good lies on the other side of fear. You know, so like, don't take the easy way, don't take the safe way, be dangerous, take chances. You know, and make a choice. And if you get somewhere and you find that you're in the wrong place, then all you do is you make another decision from there. And then if that doesn't work out, you make another decision from there. Like, it's not a death sentence. Like, oh, should I start my own bit? Like, it's going to turn into something down the road. You know, either that's going to work or it's going to be a lesson that you take into something else, you know? So like, don't not do it, you know, like, you know, run with scissors, you know, like, like try it. You look at all the people that have gotten success, and, you know, they were told a lot of different lies, you know, and a lot of times the people that maybe tell you those things, like, how well do they really know you? You know, we already kind of have a negativity bias, you know, ingrained in us, and, you know, so we've already got that tape playing in the back of our head. So don't listen to the people that say don't, or be careful, or anything like that. You know, is it going to be hard? Yeah. You know, is it always going to go your way? No. But there is a way, and that's the thing, is like, you have to keep going, and you're going to fall down, skin your knees, and get hurt along the way. Yeah. And I think people try to protect the people that they like from getting hurt, but at the same time, they don't realize that maybe they're keeping the people that they love from, you know, really becoming or utilizing those gifts that the creator has given them, right? So
well said. Yeah, that was really. I wasn't expecting that answer. That was a really good answer.
Blowing our minds.
Yeah.
Oh, what is your favorite aspect of being an entrepreneur?
My favorite aspect of being an entrepreneur. Hopefully one day to say, see, I told you so.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
my favorite aspect of being an entrepreneur is that it's the responsibility. Like I'm 100% responsible for where I am. So if I'm not making it, I can't blame anyone. And when I make it, I can be like, I did this. Of course, I got help and support along the way, but no one can say, oh, your dad did this for you, you did that. It's like, I did it, and part of doing it is asking for help and getting the right guidance and assistance along the way and having the right people in the place to do the things that do the things.
Yeah.
But you have to do that, So yeah, it's that 100% responsibility for everything, so.
Yeah, I completely agree.
If I was 100% responsible for my start time, I would not start at 9 a.m. every day.
Yeah, it can be challenging when you're working out of your own home or something too, right? When you start out that way, it's like you gotta like put on your work clothes even though you're not leaving. And just like pretend you're at the office. Yeah.
And that's why I like going to the office. I put on, everyone's like, oh, that's a nice suit. I always say, oh, it's my work costume, like that. It's like, that's because like that's what I'm doing now. Like that's my role. I'm stepping into that role that I'm doing that. It's not who I am. That's the role that I'm doing today. And it helps me get prepared. Like I'm a professional. I'm getting up, I'm putting on, my professional suit. Michael Jordan wore a brand new pair of shoes before every game because every game, because new shoes, that was his thing. And it put him in the mindset. So that's the thing, is like, I like to have my car clean. I like to get up. I like to dress well. I like to show up to the office and like be ready to work, and everything sends a message and people notice that, like I've had lots of people like, yeah, I always see, your car is the first one parked outside the office and everything like that, so everything sends a message. And also, it creates that, that business stature where, people will come and meet you on that business stature as well. And also, when we're recruiting, I don't want our brokerage to be like, you can go with any brokerage. Like, oh, there's brokerages and then there's that brokerage, So yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's really good.
So what is the difference between like a brokerage license and a commercial license?
Yeah, so a broker is basically, that is your license to run a real estate business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so it's a regulated industry. So you need to have certain classification clarifications, meet certain levels. You have to have trust accounts and all these things. There's the commission, and then there's the real estate guidelines and laws that run everything. So you have to have a broker's license in order to operate and transact in real estate in the province.
That makes sense.
So how hard is it to become a real estate agent?
To become a real estate agent? Yeah. So they've done it a few different ways. So it used to be you would take kind of a basic intro phase 1 course, and then you would declare whether you wanted to get a residential license, a commercial license, or a farm license.
Oh, farm's its own thing.
Yeah,
too, right?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's another world. It's another world altogether. Yeah, like soil types and like it's crazy. Yeah, yeah. So there's that. So then a while ago they said, well, no, everyone's going to go, and after you've done your first, your phase 1, you got to write all 3 licenses. So then what happens is you got all these people out there that have all 3 licenses. So I have all 3 licenses, nice. Right? Yeah. So, but the thing is like, I've never sold a house. I don't know how to sell a house. And when I went to buy a house, I got a residential agent, someone that knows what they're doing, to help me buy a house. And if a friend came to me and said, hey, you got a farm license. Hey, can you be a buddy and help me buy a farm? I'd be like, I'm going to be a friend. And I'm going to not help you buy a farm. I'm going to pass you off to the number 1 farm guy, because he knows what he's doing. And I think that there's a lot of people that don't necessarily understand the full complexities of commercial real estate and everything that's involved in it, from land to multifamily to industrial, commercial, investment, development, all those things fall under it. And there's, I'll be working on something and I'll be working with someone who primarily deals in residential and maybe does a couple commercial deals a year and like a couple small lease deals. And you can tell. And, sometimes they don't know what they don't know. And I just, the question I always ask is like, are you representing your client's best interests?
Mm-hmm.
People like to chase commercial. Oh, there's good money in commercial and stuff like that. It's like, there's a lot of work in commercial if you do it right, and there's a lot to know. And, I think about that when someone says, hey, can you help me or have a, they're like, oh, you're in real estate. And they ask me a house about residential. I'm like, I overheard this, but you should really talk to someone who does residential because I don't consider myself a residential agent. I've got the license. But like I said, like when my son turned 16 and got his driver's license, you think he got the keys to the Porsche? No. He's got a license to be dangerous, right? So, and I think that there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. And I think maybe not, there's maybe a few agents out there that don't primarily deal in farm or commercial that maybe think they could take a stab at it, And I guess I always caution against that. Like it is different,
Mm-hmm.
Like just like someone says, "Oh, lawyer." Well, are they a family lawyer? Are they a litigation lawyer? Are they an environmental lawyer? Like it's
commercial and
corporate here,
and it's different. When you say I need a lawyer. Well, what for? And depending on what it's for, you talk to a different person.
Yeah, I have lots of people asking
they're all from the bar. They've all got the same license and everything like that. But then you've got your areas that you concentrate on. So that carries over into real estate as well.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I have so many people ask me family law questions because it's just most people interact with that at some point in their lives, and so they always ask me, and I have no idea. Like I can ask someone for you, but I can't give you an answer off the top of my head.
Yeah, exactly.
Here, I'll take a few. Yeah, where'd you leave out?
Finish off the what?
Okay, the when.
The when.
When did you realize your business idea had the potential to be successful?
I guess I'm still figuring that out.
Well, you seem to be doing well.
Yeah, so. I knew when I had to do it.
Yeah.
And I have to be careful how I talk about this subject because there's potentially some lawyers involved with this. I thought that with everything that was happening with the economy and in our culture today, as far as Indigenous, the treaty land entitlement, we see a lot of things happening with the Métis Nation as well. There's a lot more awareness of Indigenous entrepreneurs, business, and our involvement within the economy.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, man, like there's a lot of, you look at a lot of law firms and they're starting to create, hey, like whole kind of like, divisions within them that are focusing on Indigenous businesses. We see a lot of businesses now, you look at the manufacturing, the mining, the construction sector and everything like that, industrial construction, where, a lot of First Nations and Indigenous businesses are getting involved with that, right? Mm-hmm. We've seen that too with trade education or education even, across the province. So there's, it's a thing, it's a thing. And within commercial real estate, I thought, man, like, I would like to be known for who I am. And there's a lot of organizations out there, Srita, Clarence Campo, Gabriel Dumont, where they're doing a lot with businesses and entrepreneurs and everything like that. Where it's like, hey, I would like to be recognized as, someone who can help people, Indigenous businesses, entrepreneurs coming up, not just specifically, like that's not the only thing that I do, but I wanted to be recognized as that. And I think that there's a demand for that, and people would recognize that, because a lot of times it's like, hey, is there anyone here representing our interests? Like I still have to build that relationship and earn that trust. But, going out there being like, hey, I've kind of, I've started walking these roads. I've been down them. I can kind of show you some things and what to expect, and tell you some, some stories that I've encountered along the way. And I shared this idea, and it was not well received, and it was even, some things were said that I didn't agree with. On a value basis, and on a and on a human rights basis, and that's where I was like, well, like now I have to do it, right? And it was kind of like a bit of a calling. It was like I could argue, I could take exception to this, and I could be like, hey, you can't say this, you can't do this. And then what happens? As soon as you accuse someone of something, then they get defensive. And then it's two people talking at each other, and nothing happens. So it was like, I can tell them they're wrong, or I can show them that I'm right.
And come with a solution.
And it's going to be a lot longer, and I'm going to have to go out and do this, and it's going to be years, and maybe they'll never see it, but I'll know it. And it was like, well, that was the thing. I thought, like, no, I have to do it. I have to go out and do it, because it's the right thing to do. So, I jokingly say I'm the Louis Riel of real estate. I just hope that I don't end up getting hanged. So.
I can really relate to that. That's why I'm running for WR2A director. There's a lot of things that I feel like I can bring some value to, solutions. So I get that. That's a good answer. When did you decide to take this leap?
Well, I left the brokerage I was with the end of June of 2024. There was a lot of moving parts, and there was kind of some talks and things happening behind the scenes, months before that. I had the idea of starting my own brokerage, and starting a brokerage from scratch it's a Gaussian sized task, and I was trying to figure out how to do it. Luckily, I met with Slade, and so he had started the Realty Consultants Group, and he wanted to have a commercial entity to it. And I said, hey, I have this idea of having Indigenous owned commercial, and he's like, I love it, and it was weird, because I never wanted a partner. He never wanted to have a partner, but to make this work, we had to partner, so that was kind of the first thing that was like how do we do this? And it was really hard, because he was like, well, I'm not partnering. That's just how it is. And so the way we've structured it is because we're using his infrastructure, and there's so much behind setting up a brokerage with the accounting and the conveyancing and the support staff and everything, is that I'm kind of piggybacking off of that. So that's a small percentage of the company that he has, just so that is covered. And the end result is that we have a full service brokerage. We still don't have property management. That's something that we're going to get into. So we've got some pretty big long-term goals and plans, and that's definitely part of it. Yeah.
Nice move.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Very good. Yeah, I don't think it's easy for anyone to kind of take a leap into anything. And that's really went all out there.
Well, yeah, and it forces you to kind of examine your own stubbornness or maybe insecurities. I'm never going to have a partner. Why? Well, partnerships this, partnerships that. Well, some do, but some don't. And not all partnerships are bad. And I'm so grateful every day. like I knew Slade through multiple friends. We had multiple mutual friends, and we got to know each other. And since we've actually like started working together, just the mindset, the values, and the vision that we have for people within our brokerage, it's great, and it's refreshing, you know, and I'm so glad that I did it.
It's good. It's good. It sounds like a lot of entrepreneurs will be happy to have you in their life.
I think that's like a secret sauce to business, is having like similar values and wanting similar things out of the business, like doing the things for the same reason, not doing the same things, but the same reason.
It is, you know, and that's because, you know, with us, it's not about us. Mm-hmm. You know, like we have this idea, and it's about, you know, to grow a business, to grow people, to grow a brand, and keeping those things at front and center. Mm-hmm. It's a lot easier to keep your ego in the back seat, right?
Yeah.
You know,
that's really good. Yeah, the vision, so important.
Yeah.
When did you face your biggest challenge, and how did you overcome it?
Biggest challenge so far?
I like the so far. Not limit ourselves to challenges.
Well, but that's the thing, and I'm grateful for challenges, like I said, because those are the learning experiences. And you know, some days when I feel like I'm bashing my head against the wall, I think like maybe someday I can help someone with this, or this will be useful to someone, or someone will see this and realize, hey, maybe I can do it too. The greatest challenge so far, I think it's still like trying to grow the business and get it, like it's moving, but it doesn't have momentum yet, and it's under a year old, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't expect it to, but it's still like it's a lot of push, mm-hmm. you know, and I think that's probably, I think I'm in the greatest challenge so far right now. Yeah.
Well, you're doing great. I mean, when we met, when I met you, it was at one of these events though, and like ever since, every event I go to, you're there.
I think it was it out at Wanniskewin at the.
No, it was before that. It was at the Remy.
Okay.
Remy, that was the first time.
With you.
Yeah. That's right. That was a nice little.
And that's the thing, is like I try to attend a lot of those events because I want people to know that I'm out there, I'm active, I'm part of the community. It's, you know, and it's familiarity, right? Mm-hmm. People, I see this guy a lot, or, you know, people come up to me like, who are you? I see you at everything, and I'm like, that's exactly what I was going for, you know. So
you're killing it in that department. When do you expect to reach profitability? This is just a random question.
And that's the thing, is like when you look at the first year, and in a regulated industry, there's expenses. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of expenses. You slide a couple lawsuits in there as well. You know, I would say like in the next 6 months, like by the time we reach our 1 year, and that's the thing with commercial real estate, is that, you know, it takes a while to put some deals together. Mm-hmm. Long cycle sales. I've got a few in the hopper that I've been working on for months. Mm-hmm. And the other agent that I have working for me, he doesn't do a lot of deals, but he does big ones. He's one of the OG commercial real estate agents for Saskatoon, and he's got he's five times the tenure I have, for sure. Nice. So yeah, Jimmy, I think we're gonna have his funeral and retirement party on the same day. So he's a lifelong guy, but he's been around, and transacted on a lot of deals. His client book is very notable.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that, when I was talking to him about coming over, I said, like, I want the opportunity, if you see fit for me, when you're no longer around,
Nice.
you care about your clients, you want to make sure that they're looked after. I want to see if I'm a fit, and if you think that it's good for them for me to look after them,
That's very smart. Yeah. I guess, and then eventually you'll probably have to, you get a bunch of people working underneath you.
Yeah.
How does that work with taking like a cut from them?
So the brokerage, and all brokerages are this way, where there's a split, where a portion of all commissions go to essentially the house, and those go to cover various expenses. The other thing that we want to do is, which no other brokerage does, is we're actually going to start essentially a real estate investment trust, where all the employees can contribute, and then we can buy commercial properties.
Nice. Yeah.
Because for good commercial properties, you typically have to have about 30% down. Good commercial properties, there's nothing really under $1 million that are really good, So we need to have buying power. So what we're going to do is create that, so we can build that, and it's like a retirement plan for real estate agents, and no other brokerage has that. They're on their own. So we've got the buying power. We also have the intel and the expertise in house.
Yeah.
And we want to grow that. Then as we grow that, and it gets to that balance point where we need to have our own property managers to manage our own portfolio. Plus, once we get to that point, then we're a real full service broker. And then we can start saying to our investors, we'll sell you, hey, we can call a client in Winnipeg, buy this, we'll communicate by check. We've got property management that's going to look after it, right? Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
I love that model.
Well, it's looking after people. Like, how do you have to look after people, right?
Yeah, and man, eventually you'll be more known than like ICR. Right?
Hope so.
Yeah.
Hope so.
That's great, man. I love that.
Yeah, it's very smart. Take care of your people. They'll take care of your business. I think that's where businesses fail a lot.
It's true, and I was reading this thing, and it was about a guy, and he trained SEAL ops, right? These elite operatives and everything. And they had the performance matrix, then they had the trust matrix. And he said, as you go higher on trust, you can start to lose out on, or higher on performance, you start to lose out on trust. He said, I would take someone that I can trust more over a high performer. And when you look at some corporate companies, as they start to perform, a dog eat dog and blah, blah. It's like, well, when you're always focused on performance, something's got to give. And me personally, I'm not saying that is what I experienced, but what I can say is that for me, from my perspective, where I came from previously, I saw the culture change a lot from the day I started to the day I left. From my perspective, it was very, very different. There of course there's always a focus on performance. We're not in business to not do business and do good business and more business, right? But sometimes I think that the pursuit of that can sometimes be a little blinding to other factors. So when people say, well, how do you do that as companies grow? How do you do that? I don't know. I'm not there. What I do want to try and keep conscious is, can I trust this person? Or, is this trustworthy? Is this the right thing? And keep falling back on that. And maybe, having that self-reflection and a good partner, and maybe not getting, overly caught up on on just performance,
Mhm.
maybe that is. I don't know. You
Yeah,
know, it's
how you
hard.
build
It's
the
hard.
work
Yeah,
culture
it's
too,
it's
right?
hard to say till you get there. Yeah, yeah.
Because you ask, you get that trust, then you can get
Yeah,
their feedback
yeah.
on what to do next. Really.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
you know, it's a double-edged sword because we want our brokerage to stand out as a performance one. Like
Mhm.
we only want to hire thoroughbreds, not someone that's like, yeah, sure, I need somewhere to park my license and do 4 deals a year.
Yeah.
You know, just because it's more socially acceptable than not working. It's like, no, like we want to have that. We want to have that reputation where people are like, hey, those guys go to work.
Mhm.
You know, and but it's got to be for the right reasons, and it's got to work out. You know,
So I just mentioned work culture.
yeah.
How are you going to build that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we've been having some conversations about that lately, and I like talking about it because when we talk about culture at work, to me that means what's the energy, what's the vibration, what frequency is it at? That's the culture. How do you feel when you walk into the room?
Mhm.
You know, how do you feel after you've been there for a while? How does it make you feel? What are you absorbing when you're there, right? It's not, hey, this is our mission statement. We got pizza on Friday, stuff like that. It's like,
Mhm.
are you called names in a business meeting in front of people? Are you, things like that, are you told repeatedly that you're stupid? Um, I would classify those as low vibration, low energy things, which in my definition then would equate to not good culture.
Mhm.
So for me, the culture and what we not try to do, what we do, and I'm really proud of this, is that we really value the people. And it's not just like, we want to know what's going on in your life. Who are you? Because not any two people are the same. And, someone's like, hey, I got this going on. It's great. Hey, do you need a hand with that? Not just, hey, you're showing up as an agent. When you walk in this door, this is your role. You as a person or what you got going on in your life doesn't exist anymore. It's not like that. We want to have a relationship with people and care about those people and really care.
Mhm.
Uh, I think that's a good way to do business, and I think that takes a lot of work, because I don't think there's a company out there that's going to say we don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good,
good
answer for some company.
and I think they try, but do they sit down with their employees and be like, hey man, how you feeling? Does it feel like we care?
Yeah.
Have we done something that maybe makes you feel like we don't care?
Yeah.
Does that happen?
That's
Usually
I don't know.
not, yeah.
That doesn't happen for everyone.
And that's where our brokerage is entirely different. Where our brokerage model is essentially every real estate agent is a small business. So what our brokerage is kind of a business support platform for agents, where we try to have all those things taken care of so that they can focus on running their business. And when you can run your business more efficiently, that allows you to either take your business to the next level, or maybe you want to up it a little bit and have more time with family or whatever. It just creates an opportunity for you to do more of what you want,
Mhm.
because those things that need to be done but are distracting you from the things that you want to do, those are being looked after.
Mhm.
Create more balance. That's
Yeah.
really good. That's a big thing right now. It's a buzzword.
Yeah. I've got my own personal thoughts on that. I think it was Grant Cardone. He says, "What's the number on a perfectly balanced scale? 0. So if you want nothing, go get balance." And that's the thing. It's like anyone that truly, is really trying to progress in one area of their life. Like you can't do it all.
Mhm.
And there's different seasons in life too. And that's the thing, is like, there was, my kids are at the age now where it's like, my son's turning 18 next month.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
my daughter's 21, so I don't need to focus on my role as a dad of a little kid more. So it's like I can focus more on work and still have a balanced
You
life.
must have been pretty young.
You
when
know,
had
so
your daughter.
yeah. Started out young, so I got lots of mileage left.
Yeah.
Lots of runway left.
Yeah, we were
That's
young
us
too.
too, yeah.
We were 17,
Yeah.
18.
Yeah.
Our son's 15 now.
Yeah. Just about 16.
Yeah, I think it's better that way. Have them when you're young.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
you guys grow together.
it's not right or wrong. It's different. You know, my
Mhm.
brother was just in town this weekend. He had his first when he was 43.
Yeah.
So, you know, they were, you know, very, very financially stable, you know, so those kids kind of have a little bit of a different starting point. But, you know, as little kids, like I didn't know how poor we were growing up, you know, till later. Yeah. Well, yeah, you know, once we got to 5 or 6, then we were hungry, you know, and then we understood. But yeah, like that's the thing is like I don't regret the way I did it. Is there other ways to do it? Sure. You know, it's not right or wrong, and I'm not going to judge and say, oh, you should have kids at this time. It's like it's, you know, it is what it is. Everyone's on their own path. You know, like I said, like the position I'm in now is like I still got a lot of runway left. I think I've still got a lot of youthful exuberance that I can still, you know, spend any way I want. You know, so I'm grateful for that. You know, I also look back at, you know, like I was dumb. Like I was 18 for 18 years, you know, like I was a 36-year-old frat boy. I was an idiot. I'm just like, was that the best thing for my kids? You know, but I've got great kids. They turned out great, and maybe it's because they always use me as an example of what not to do. You know, but that's the thing is, you know, there's no right or wrong, and you know, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
So.
Well, great answers so far, man. You're killing it. Why do you believe entrepreneurship is so important for Métis citizens specifically? But for everyone.
Yeah, for everyone. You know, I'll touch on the Métis thing too, and it's because, you know, it's funny. I always say, like, do people know the story about the road allowance people? I said, do you want to talk about the absolute definition of marginalization when you're being pushed to a margin of property lines? It doesn't get any more any more literal than that, you know. So
the original gypsies.
Well, exactly, and that's the thing is like a lot of people don't know. You know, so it's kind of an opportunity to be like, hey, guess what? Like, you want to talk about people that were pushed aside and not really recognized as, you know, residents of the land. Here we are, and we're not mad, and you know, that wasn't you, but guess what? You know, we were that part in history then, and we're going to be this part now, and we're going to make this place great together with everyone, and that's the thing is like that's just part of our story of where we came from, and that is not going to keep us from thriving.
Yeah,
you know, we can do, and you can do anything. You know, we're all in this together, and no one is oh, you know, it's tougher for us because this, or oh well, we got a leg up because of this. It's like this is just where we were. Everyone has their stuff, you know. No one's people think that other people have a charmed life, but you know, if you were to take all your shit and put it in a pile, and everyone took all their shit and put it in a pile, you look at everyone else's shit and you take your shit and leave, right? So. But that's the thing is like it's kind of neat. It's like it's a neat story to tell. Hey, guess what? Like this is what it was, and the other thing too is that it wasn't really talked about, right? And it was kept from me.
Yeah.
You know, growing up, you know, there was you know, some different family dynamics, and there was some shame and some guilt and stuff involved, and it was kept from me, and as an adult, it's like, well, it doesn't need to be. Like, it's not good or bad. It just is. And I'm going to do my best. I believe that the Creator has given me gifts, and it's my duty and responsibility to do what I can with those for the goodness of mankind, and taking care of myself and the people that I love.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel you. For me, it was like I knew for a long time, but I went to a school that was the only fine arts school in Saskatoon, and there was a lot of, I don't want to say racist people, but there was a lot of people that
didn't know.
Yeah, they didn't know the whole dynamics of it, and they just kind of, if I was to say something to them, I'd be labeled as something that I didn't really want to be labeled as. So I just kind of kept it to myself. And anytime my name was mentioned with, however their viewpoint was, I just, I was like, I'm a mutt, I don't, that's it.
Like I think, don't say anything, just go along, don't.
My other family members are like, you said, don't say anything.
Yeah, that was what they were trying to do with the residential schools, and I faced that, myself. It's like, what are you doing? Why? Like, don't, you don't want to self-identify. Like, you crazy?
Just fitting in.
Yeah, just fit in, go along. Like this, it's an old white guys club. Just, and it's like, it is till it isn't, and like the times, they are changing.
Yeah. We're that generation for sure that's picking up. Things kind of left off.
Yeah, I never heard anything about it in school until actually law school, which is crazy because that's a long time to go without knowing about such a big part of our history. But we're so lucky at the law school. Marie Campbell is so involved there, and she wrote that book Half Breed about living on the road allowance. So we got like really in-depth first-hand stories, and it was really eye-opening and shocking that they just keep that from schools.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because still, people really don't know what to say when you be like, well, guess what? Like the First Nations, they're getting their treaty land entitlements. We were kicked off of our land, and we still
we gotta fight for something still. Right?
And we're still waiting.
We're still waiting, man. And not only that, is like, you sound like you're getting into more real estate. We've purchased lands ourselves. And my family, there's 160 acres that's still being fought over in North Battleford, just off of North Battleford on the edge of the river there. And it'll be years and years and years.
So it's funny. Like, the federal government's like, we took it, we should give it back.
Yeah,
to some people.
They're
just
not to all.
Yeah.
What else you got there?
How do you?
Great answers, man.
Thanks.
Really, really good.
How do you approach customer acquisition and retention?
How do you get those guys, your next clientele?
I do cold calling right now with certain brokerage duties. I'm not doing as much of that. I do have a pretty good referral basis, and again, so that is where my brand is always, what I've always tried to do is remember that it's people first. And I'm not a smart guy. Sometimes lessons have to be beat into me a few times. But one thing that I picked up on a long time ago, and that I discovered, is that when you treat people like people, they typically tend to respond pretty well. So I try to treat people like people, and be a little bit understanding, and listen a little bit, and it was funny. The brokerage that I used to be at, there was a lady that sat at a desk near mine, and one day I got off the phone with a client of mine who's like a really, really big landlord in town, and she's like, I can't believe the way you talk to your client. I'm like, what? I'm like, just like a regular person? I'm like, I've known him for 3 years. If I'm yes sirring and no sirring. You know, like it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
He's a regular person. Yeah, he's a billionaire, but he's still a regular person. And if I treated him differently than a person, he would probably think it was inauthentic and like, what are you doing? Like, I think people that sometimes are in those positions, they can tell when someone's trying to treat them differently because someone's looking at them differently.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and it's not, I'm not trying to put them above or below. It's just, you know, here we are. This is my job. My job is to look out for your best interests, you know, and to be authentic. And if someone doesn't, if that doesn't jive with someone, then that's okay. Then I'm not the agent for them. And that's okay, because they got to be comfortable with that relationship, because, you know, I am looking after their prosperity. So I want to show them who I am right up front. And if it's not going to work for them, then it's not going to work for them, because I'm going to be me and I'm going to treat them the way that I want to, you know, that I think that they should be treated, which is very well. And, you know, I think a lot of people have gotten away from that authenticity. And it doesn't mean that, you know, I'm being authentic so I can say anything or do anything. You still need to be respectful and you know, give courtesy and, you know, act appropriately in certain situations and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But you know, we kind of get into some of these corporate settings where people are these cookie cutter beige nothings, and it's just a title, and it's like, but who are you? You know, like, it's refreshing when, you know, you're phoning a business or something like that, and there's an actual person on the other end, not like, because sometimes you're talking to someone, it's like you can tell that they are, you know, not involved in this conversation at all, you know. So I try to bring the human element back to it, and sometimes people respond really well to that, sometimes they don't, but, you know, I'm not for everyone.
Yeah, it's good, especially now with AI. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know who you're talking to on the other line, and if there's somebody real or fake, or
well, and even emails too. I'll you know, someone will send me a big long email, and I'll just answer back, let's hop on a call. You know, like that. And I like meeting face to face, because it's true. So much communication is nonverbal. Mm-hmm. You know, and I've learned things over the years. Like, when I'm going to have an important call, you know, I stop and I clear my mind and I walk around for a couple minutes and I stand up, because your energy is different when you're standing up and when you're smiling before you make that call. Like, they don't know it, but they can hear it on the other end, right? So there's like, and that's
very intuitive that way.
It is, and it's a big responsibility. And if you're just calling someone for the sake of calling someone, or hammering off an email because it's easier than talking to someone, it's like, you know. And I got a buddy say, "Oh, it's just a Zoom call or just an email." It's like, dude, like, what are you doing? You afraid? You scared? Like, you know, you might have a really good conversation. You might get to know someone. You know. Yeah. You might have a really good day. Someone might say something to brighten your day. You might be able to say something to brighten that person's day. You never know what kind of little tidbit you might pick up. You know, like, have a conversation, like, live a little. You know.
So I've been noticing myself. I've been just emailing and stuff more and more lately, and I think you're right. It's better for the call.
Yeah, I usually try to email too, but then more people now want to be on phone calls. Especially, I have a lot of American clients recently. They are all about the phone calls. Yeah. And I like phone calls with them.
Oh,
Their accents are great.
Well, I was gonna say too, like, and in my business too, I like phone calls because there's no paper trail, right? Like,
that's fine. So it's true. Networking, you do lots of networking too, and that's great for the word of mouth.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, you know, that you know, like I said, one of my challenges right now is growing the business. Is even still, like, you know, I am doing some stuff with Métis Saskatchewan. I'm reaching out with Clarence Camp, all these things, but, you know, you see on Instagram and stuff all the time, you know, Indigenous entrepreneurs opening up businesses. Well, you know, why weren't they using the only Indigenous commercial brokerage in the province, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a disconnect somewhere, right? So it's like, I got to keep getting out there, getting the word out there. you know, and you know, another buzzword around now is procurement. Hey, procurement this, procurement that, what procurement, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, what does that mean? What are we doing about it? You know, because I know that, you know, for example, and I'm not crapping on anyone here, but like, you know, the city of Saskatoon, they fund Srita, Discover Saskatoon.
Yeah, I just looked at that.
You know, all those things.
$800,000 to Srita.
Yeah. So they fund these different programs, and those programs will go out and at various times, you know, go to acquire office space, right? So if they're procuring office space, wouldn't it help meet their Indigenous procurement goals by using an Indigenous brokerage? And I've
right now they're at less than 5%. It's like 0.5% Indigenous owned businesses working with them. And they're supposed to have a mandate of at least 5%. Some cities 10%.
Yeah, well, Regina was saying 20%. Yeah. But the thing is, when you can say that, we want to have 20% Indigenous procurement. Yay! Okay.
We're right here.
I want to have. Well, and that's the thing they're saying is like, well, I want to have a horse with a horn on its head. You want that, so.
Yeah, what are you doing to work for it?
Exactly. And the thing is, like, you know, they don't know. They're new at this too. You know, and they're used to the you know, those policy and procedures and all that shit, you know, and you look at like a federal RFP, the thing's like a freaking phone book, and you know, like I got time to go through that. I got one other agent trying to hire a couple more. Like, get out of here. Like, do you really want Indigenous procurement? Then you're gonna have to like streamline some stuff, figure out some things. You know?
Yeah, well, I sat in on a meeting at the Alt Hotel, half a year ago, about how to allocate $2.8 billion for Indigenous businesses. Yeah. And I gave my 2 cents because the government sent me a couple of these RFPs, and there were like 150 pages for like one roof.
Yeah.
Just like for asphalt shingles.
Yeah.
And like,
do you really want this done?
I was like, what am I going to do with this? I was like, this is something that usually I can do with a page. And it's a full document and a breakdown of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to read 150 pages.
It's gotten so far backwards that it's working the wrong way.
Yeah,
you know?
It's unfortunate. But I did tell them that, and they are working on something a little bit better. And it was a procurement scenario there.
Yeah. So that's kind of one of those buzzwords. So, you know, I've talked with Jay Snabig from Saskatoon. Oh, come on. Chamber of Commerce. Yeah. And so we're kind of like working on some things to try and like pull in a few businesses, do like a little lunch and learn, and be like, do you guys really want to do Indigenous procurement? Because here's an avenue to do it.
Nice.
You know, let's not wait for a mandate or something like this. Like, here it is. Here's the interview. Give me a shot.
Yeah.
Let's go.
There should be no reason that like almost all Indigenous businesses should then become like the contractors for every other business, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. And then, you know, like, you know, Métis Nation Sask, they've got their directory. It's a great idea, but when was the last time someone said, "Hold on, I'm just going to go check the directory first"? You know, like, it's good that it's there, but it's not what people go to. Yeah. You know, like, and you know, I guess from my perspective, me, it's like, hey guys, like, I'm the only one.
Yeah.
This is it. You know, it's not like, hey, well, I lost out to these people, or, you know, there's other competitors. It's like, do they know? And, you know,
the only Métis contract.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and then you talk to someone, you get involved in one. You're like, well, you know, you got to talk to so and so. Even within some of the Métis organizations, you know, and you know, so you know, sometimes it's like, you know, calling up, you know, Gabriel Dumas, like, hey, like, who's sticking my name there? Like, how when someone's coming in and they're looking for money for a business or a loan, you know, how come my name's not being thrown at them first? You know, or even at the SOAR Awards, you know, it's like, after the 5 finalists were there, I went up and introduced myself to the 5 finalists.
Did make a point of meeting.
You know, the first time that they had contact with Srita should have been like, hey, here's Indigenous this, here's Indigenous that,
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not taking away from what they're doing, but, you know, they don't know. They're like, hey, we're doing these SOAR Awards. This is great. And they are great. And it is great. But it's like, we gotta think a little. We gotta get a little bit more creative. We gotta get one step ahead. Okay, and then what? But what's that doing? Hey, we're putting on the SOAR Awards. Yeah, okay, but who are you connecting? What do you got? And I've been involved with Sarita for a long time, and and I talked with Milton there, and Milton. He's fantastic job, and he's saying, hey, like, we got these policy things that we're going to do. So I'm like, hey, Milton, like, let's get on it. Like, let's keep doing this. So
this goes back to Leon's 5 whys. You never get to the 5th why when you just keep asking, why is this happening? Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
And you never get to like the 4th or 5th why before you figure out a proper solution to everything.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
What, you got another one there, or did I cut you off?
No. I didn't feel cut off.
No. I have a tendency to do that, so I gotta ask her once in a while.
I have a tendency to ramble on and need to be cut off every once in a while. So,
how do you identify and capitalize on emerging market trends?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah. How do you I identify emerging market trends? This market is in constant flux. So there's stuff emerging all the time. Just being cognizant and active, and being involved. I guess is right now the best answer I can give. I guess another thing is to be open to ideas. That's the big thing. Is that I'm firmly confident in my abilities and my professionalism, but I also want to realize that I'm not done learning, right? And know, like, hey, is there something else I could know? Is there a question I should be asking? Just like we're talking about the procurement. We got to get creative and go a little bit deeper. Am I doing that enough? Right? I don't ever want to get to the point where I think I know everything, because that's dangerous. That's not good for me, probably not good for my clients, not good for anyone.
It's a singular mindset.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess being open to to learn new things, to questions, and of course other people's perspectives, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so glad that I was able to get Jim Wojcik to come over. He's old school. He operates very differently than I do, and I'm grateful for that. I don't want to have a brokerage of a bunch of guys like me. That would be scary.
Yeah. You need a diverse team.
Well, exactly. And people that are proficient in different asset classes and those different personalities, because I think everyone can bring a lot, and that's the thing. It's like I just don't want to build a team. I want to have a well-rounded team. So I'm looking for differences, not similarities, right?
Yeah.
And being able to really celebrate those differences and be open to them, and especially if they're conflicting with some of my ideas, because I like being wrong. I like it when someone can tell me something. It's like, oh, that's great. I never thought of it that way. It's like that's where the growth happens, right? And I always want to make sure that I'm growing and learning. So yeah, and building a team. And another thing that I really want to do is our industry. Most people don't even know about it, especially Indigenous people, and I would really love to have some sort of Indigenous talent that I can mentor and bring up. There's you can make a really good living in commercial real estate. Really good, really good, and it's just most people don't know about that. Kind of real estate falls under one whole umbrella, and people think, 90% of the people or 10% of the people do 90% of the deals, and commercial's different. And I want to build a well-rounded team and have 4, maybe 5 experienced agents before we bring on some new talent. And I would just, that's my goal, that's my dream, is to have some new Indigenous talent that I can mentor and bring up. I kind of lucked into it, but and I like it, and I'm proud, and I want it to become a little bit more common, you know?
You ever think like 20, 40 years from now, people look back at this time, people like us, feel like they were the ones who started all of these initiatives?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, I think every person is going to leave their mark, and you get to decide what it is, you know? So, you know, it's an incredible, you know, that's the thing I always say, like it's a duty and an obligation, you know, that's been given to me, you know, that the creator has given me a gift, and for me to not utilize that to the absolute best of my ability is, you know, that's squandering a gift, you know, and I don't want to do that. And I want to, you know, my job is to always leave people a little bit better than you found them.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the same with nature. That's a great.
And that's the thing is that there's a lot of people out there that you know, for whatever reason they're hurt, or maybe they don't quite do that, or every day's not their best day. You know, and that just means that's when we gotta show up and do that a little bit more. And that's the thing. Like maybe one day someone will say, "That guy helped me," you know, and
be worth it.
Yeah.
Really good. Well, we rambled through all of those questions.
Nailed it.
It's so easy to do, you know.
I guess for like last thoughts, do you have a final piece of advice for anyone that wants to be an entrepreneur?
Maybe a favorite quote.
Oh, I got lots of good quotes. So many. You know, always try to keep learning and growing. Like courses, you know, learn about yourself. You know, I learned a lot. I took it was called a sales course, which it was more of a, who are you? What's your personality type? You know, why is your life the way it is because of you? and
the same thing in the U of S.
Yeah, and learning that, and then also taking on the responsibility. Okay, because this is how I am. This is what I need to do so that I can communicate better with people. It's not their job to communicate better with me, right? And with my personality type, it's a lot of work. I am an extrovert, but I need a lot of recharge time, because for me to interact with people it takes a lot. It takes a lot, because I'm like a couple of points at 90 miles an hour. And the unfortunate thing is that when I do that, the way it comes off is, this guy is brash, this guy doesn't give a fuck, this guy is cold, this guy is harsh, this guy is robotic. And I'm sitting there, I'm just like, but that's not me. You guys got it wrong. But it's not their responsibility to realize that they got it wrong. It's my responsibility to be like, hey, what does that person need? They need me to slow down and be like, hey, can you do this? What's this? Tell me what you think, you know? Because then, you know, sometimes you got to slow down to speed up, you know? So that's, you know, something that I learned. And that was only like a few years ago through some sales training, you know? So I think you should always be like, I do tons of audiobooks. You know, like I said, I got ADD pretty bad, so I can't usually sit there and read too much. I try to read at night to wind down. But audiobooks, tons and tons of audiobooks all the time, about business, about growth, you know, about stuff like that, and you know, learning about yourself. The other thing, like big thing, is like goal setting, you know, like, you know, the vision boards, the goal settings, surrounding yourself with like-minded people, you know. We talked about, you know, culture, energy, you know, vibration, stuff like that, you know, visualization, meditation, manifesting, like those things they're real, they're real, and they work, and you can laugh at me all you want, and maybe I'm not here, but maybe I've only made it to here, but it's because of that stuff,
Yeah.
and we will face challenges, but our minds are powerful and we can create a lot of things. We can change our lives. We can change the world. You can change the world. You might not even know it, but like I say, your duty and your obligation, you got to put that little bit of positive energy out there all the time, because that's what's going to make the world a better place, because it goes out there and that little bit of positive energy you do, it's reaching the other side of the solar system, right? Like it has that effect. And that's the thing, is when you realize how important your role is as this little nucleus in this big thing, it's profound, and that's where, I kind of get that duty and that obligation thing. Like I have to do this so that the world's a better place for me and for everyone. Yeah. Do it selfishly, right? If I'm good, then I'm going to have an easier life. Great. Or a better life. Life shouldn't be easy. It's the things that are hard.
Rewarding life.
Yeah, it's the challenges that make it so rewarding, right? Like if you're not challenged, you see that a lot today. People are always looking for the easy way, and that's why I think a lot of people aren't happy, because they've never, like, when you really have to work at something and it's really challenging, and like and you come through like Andy Dufresne, right? Smelling like a rose, smelling like a rose on the other side. Like it makes the sweet stuff that much sweeter, right? And
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like people are always looking, and I think they're taught that too. Safe, comfort, and then you don't get to taste that nectar of life. But when you get in there and you roll up your sleeves and you grind and it hurts and you're challenged and you don't know what's going on, and then you learn, and then when you finally get a little taste of that, you're like, hey, this is great. And like, I think accomplishment is the greatest antidepressant there is. And if someone is really having a tough time and not feeling like they're happy, I challenge them to set some goals and really work at those goals. And when you start achieving things like that, it feels pretty good. So
I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
Nice job on the movie. Every podcast we try to mention like one movie, and it's you and Leon, our last episode there. Go check that one out. He mentioned the movie too. It's funny. Almost all entrepreneurs are like, we're geared the same way.
Yeah.
There's all of these things that we believe in, and it all seems to align with every other entrepreneur. So.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was probably the most motivational quote I've heard in a long time, when you said achievement is the best antidepressant.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's hard to be sad when you're accomplishing things, right?
Yeah.
Like it feels good, and that's why, I find along with this, I've seen, parents where they kind of overparent their kids and do things for them. It's like, let them struggle and figure it out, because they're going to be so happy. If you look what I figured out, and having things done for you. I don't know. I don't agree with that. Getting some help, sure, some pointers, but like, you got to get out there and do it, and that's what makes it feel good.
It's dirty.
Yeah, yeah. Wrestle with the pigs. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I don't know. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
That was an excellent way to wrap this up. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely, it was a pleasure. I had a lot of fun.
Great to have you.
Yeah, okay.
Good combo.
Yeah, no kidding. We'll have to have you again.
For sure.
Months or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm Andrew L.G. Hunter.
I'm Angela Hunter.
Graham Robertson.
Awesome. Thanks for coming, Graham. This has been the Global Falcons Podcast.